Still Poddable, Still Poddable. The Boston Celtics, Still Poddable, Still Poddable. Oh yeah! Still Poddable, Still Poddable. The Boston Celtics, Still Poddable, Still Poddable. Better 19.
Beat Robb, Jim, Packard, J. King.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
The Caesar on the court to get another ring.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
Everybody in the chat now sing.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable. Still Poddable, Still Poddable. The Boston Celtics, Still Poddable, Still Poddable. Oh yeah!
Welcome back to Still Poddable, the best Celtics podcast here on Al Gore's Internet. I am Sam Jam Packard, joined by the Athletics J. King. We are Still Poddable, a Monday through Friday Boston Celtics podcast. Most people are saying the best Celtics podcast on the internet. This is the free episode, though, so we are coming to you live on the CLNS YouTube page, and we are brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app. Otherwise, we are on patreon.com. You can sign up today. Get ready for the playoff run. Patreon.com/stillpoddable. Now, Jay King is on the road with the Celtics, as is his job covering the team. And the Celtics, I don't feel like any of the national media is talking about it, but they have won 8 in a row. They're about to sweep this entire road trip if they can finish off the game in Memphis. Jay, I think you've been out there for the past 2 games. It feels like the pretty perfect time for this Celtics team to be peaking. I know they might not be playing the best of opponents, but they're playing pretty damn good basketball ever since really the All-Star break.
Yeah, and some very good signs, too, in this. First of all, Jrue Holiday is coming to life. Like, that is a big deal. He went for a couple months in the middle of the season when he basically was never scoring in double digits, was not being aggressive, was not looking for a shot, was not knocking down shots when he was, and he's coming back to life a little bit. He pointed out last night that he had a dunk in his previous game, his first all season. It's funny that he pointed out that he had a dunk because after he did have a dunk, I went up to him. I was like, "That was your first dunk of the season, you know?" And he was like, "I don't even know if you could call that one a dunk."
2 days later, he wants credit for it.
Next game, he was claiming it. He was like, "Yeah, I dunked the other night. I don't know if you guys saw." So that was pretty funny, but more seriously for the Celtics, just getting him knocking down shots, getting him to be more aggressive, getting him comfortable after his finger issue is a huge, huge deal for the Celtics. They're going to need him to be good in the playoffs. And, you know, to see him, he scored double digits now, 5 of his last 7 games. A couple of his highest scoring games all season have come during this stretch. So it looks like he's starting to ramp things up for the playoffs, get ready for the playoffs, sort of like Al Horford does. And that's a great, great sign for Boston.
There's some statistic like what they're in the last 2 seasons, including the playoffs. I think they're 54-3 when he scores more than 14 points. And I think the first half of the Spurs game, he just got looks where it's like it wasn't like they were looking for really Jrue Holiday to like get him looks, but it's like the ball just generates they're just doing natural offense, and it finds Jrue Holiday in the corners, or it finds Jrue Holiday off an offensive rebound. And if he can just knock down threes at a decent clip, and that's your 5th option on offense, it just totally changes how dangerous this Boston Celtics offense can be. It's not something like no one's going to game plan for Jrue Holiday. No one is going to worry about him. But if your 5th option, if the guy just hanging out in the corner when you have Jason Tatum in a pick and roll on the other side is able to just knock him down, catch and shoot threes, that's such a huge element for the Boston Celtics. A huge element for this podcast, one of the legends of the show. Join us from the car. This is like some old sports talk radio. Josh B in the car. How you doing, Josh B? Thanks for joining us. How you feeling?
I'm excellent. I had to log in the car because I'm a member of the Patreon chat. And if you want to be a member of this Patreon chat that Jam was talking about at the beginning of the show, all you got to do is go to Patreon, sign up to be a kid, a god, or if you sign up to be a legend like me, you too can join the chat from the car. Like, there's nothing stopping you from getting on here and being a voice with me, Gamblin' Grant, Matt Decker, all of the great voices on the Still Poddable community. And you should do that because you're obviously listening to this on the CLNS network. Stop just getting the show for free. Start to pay and get your daily dose, especially when the theme song to this show changes for the playoff edition, to which my first question to Jam, and Jay, I have a question and a bone to pick with you. But Jam first,
You, Josh, a bone to pick with us? No way.
No, not with everybody, just with you this time. But Jam, question first. Are you? Do we have the playoff edition ready for the 2025 playoffs? Is the playoff theme song ready?
Here's the thing: we have no idea who creates the playoff.
No clue.
Let's go, motherfucking Celtics! Let's go! Like
He's a hero. He's a hero.
It's a mystery man who just sends us this song, and we have no idea who it is. I'm assuming they're going to be ready for mid-April, but we have no indications. And frankly, I don't want to know. I just want it to be like April 16th, and I want it to show up in the inbox and it to be an excitement because that one. Someone say that's the reason the Celtics won the championship last year.
If it doesn't show up in our mailbox for that first playoff game, that's an ominous sign for the Celtics.
Well, I would go so far since you cited a stat at the beginning of the show, Jim. I'll cite a stat that the Celtics are 1-0 in terms of championship runs and championship banners since the Still Poddable community was created.
This is
I
true.
would say that stat also has some bearing. Jay, I have a bone to pick with you, and I have a question. Compliment. We'll start with the compliment. It may have been the best solo rant, your rant on Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James, that I've ever heard. You said that Stephen A. Smith is one of the preeminent voices in sports. You keep delivering podcasts like that, you keep delivering rants like that, you're going to be one of the preeminent voices in sports. That was phenomenal. Great job.
Thank you.
No, it really was good. I follow all the stuff, including The Athletic, where you can find all of Jay King's work. But this individual rant, and for the record, if you do sign up to be a Patreon member, you can go and listen to the rant that I'm talking about. That was literally Friday, which is a fantastic job. Great solo pod.
Thank you, sir.
But I do have a bone to pick with you, and I'm going to make the argument that LeBron James is not the second best player of all time.
He's the best?
No, he really can't rank higher than 3 in any reasonable person. And the truth of the matter is you could probably rank him 4. But I'm okay with you saying that Michael Jordan is the best because 6-0 is perfection, never going to a game 7. But the idea that you host a Celtics podcast and that you would forget about the guy who went 11 for 13 in Bill Russell being number 2. I mean, instead of the guy who has gone 4-8 in the 12 finals that he's been in, I don't know that's acceptable. I would like you to explain your reasoning beyond the idea that it was different eras, because
that's like the main reason. You can't ask someone to explain the reasoning and say, you can't use this one argument that you're going to use.
The thing is that I think you can't. I think you can't. I'll tell you why. I'll give you my argument, which is that Bill Russell was worried about, shootings and civil rights, and LeBron is worried about hyperbaric chambers and getting into arguments with Stephen A. Smith. 2 wildly different sets of concerns. And Bill Russell didn't have the hyperbaric chambers. He didn't have the millions of dollars. He had to ride buses to get to the next game.
If LeBron and Bill Russell played one-on-one, who do you think would win?
Which
Both
era?
of their physical primes, obviously.
Which era? Does LeBron have access to the hyperbaric chamber? Or does he have to wait? Does he have to, get off a bus the same way Bill Russell did?
Let's say it's a mixed era. So Bill Russell played up until like the late 60s. Let's say they're playing in 1988.
Okay, so LeBron doesn't have access to the private planes. He has
but he does have a little bit of improvement in shoe technology.
Only a little bit, because Jordan came out in 80, 83? Am I wrong on that? I could be wrong on that. He was he was drafted when? When was Michael Jordan drafted? It was after
he was drafted, I think, in 84. He was playing the Celtics in the 86 playoffs. He scored 63 points in the Garden, I believe.
Okay, so it's been 4 years of shoe technology, And LeBron doesn't have the Nikes that he has right now. He doesn't have the training that he has right now. And Bill Russell gets to still be as strong and as fierce and is still grown up in the entire civil rights era.
Yes, LeBron, but LeBron James is 6'8", 280 pounds. He probably has, 80 pounds on Bill Russell at this point?
But how much of that training, how much of that physicality comes from being with the best trainers all the way through high school, from being with the best, conditioning, from having all of the nutrition education, all of the science that backed that up, that Bill Russell never had.
Give me LeBron in 6.
I don't think so, man. I think I take Bill Russell in 7, and I'll go one step further. Bill Russell won 11 championships, so I know that he's more likely to win than LeBron, who only won 4.
There were 8 teams back then. There were 8 teams in the NBA back then, Josh. 8. How many championships would LeBron have won if there were only 7 other teams that he was playing against?
I say to you that both.
And if he happened to land on a team that already had an MVP in Bob Cousy, that had 19 other guys that went to the Hall of Fame, and he wasn't dragging Sasha Pavlovich and Boobie Gibson and Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Anderson Varejao, even though those guys were pretty good at basketball, to the finals. He had to go to Miami to get anyone worthy of his talents. He didn't just step into a situation like Russell did, where he could go. And I don't want to bash Bill Russell here. The guy is probably
you're painting us into a corner, Josh B.
Greatest defensive player of all time. But man,
I did not log on today thinking we were going to have a
how
Bill Russell.
Was in a conversation of who's the greatest of all time. You get to how well-rounded was this guy. Bill Russell averaged 15 points per game. 15. In no way was he a dominant offensive player. Maybe the greatest defender, maybe the greatest rebounder of all time. But to me, offense is the more important side of basketball, because that is where you can truly, truly dominate a game by yourself. And maybe he did it by himself defensively. Obviously, I didn't watch Bill Russell play a lot of games. I am fully aware of the fact maybe if I'd witnessed him, maybe I'd feel different. But
Josh, I don't think we're going to see eye to eye on this one. So before we let you go, do you have any questions about the current Celtics team that maybe we could help you out with?
I do, but I will simply point out that Wilt Chamberlain, one of the great all-time amazing scorers of his lifetime, won 1 championship. It's 3 less than LeBron, but he was also this amazing offensive player, just like, similar to Luka Doncic, but he won 1, championship. And Bill Russell kept him from, another 11. I'll simply say that I think defense and offense should be weighted equally, but I respect everybody's opinion. Yes, I do have a question about this current iteration of the Celtics. So I'll end with that. It is to Jay's point. It is to Jam's point. First of all, what did you think about Jaylen Brown's knee last night? Did you feel like your concerns were assuaged, and do you feel like Jaylen Brown is taking the sort of next step in his playmaking, sort of the step we saw last year, but with a little bit more consistency over these last 5 games? You know that I love the pod. You know that you guys are my favorite podcast, and I will see you guys soon.
I gotta go real quick, Packard. Keep it going. I'll be right back.
Oh, that means there's perhaps breaking news.
I could stay for the answer then. I'll stick around while Jay.
Well, let's. What'd you like? I didn't think Jaylen Brown's knee. He looks like he's kind of hobbling out there, and so he hasn't looked great physically since coming back. He obviously had a pretty efficient game against the Spurs, 6 of 9 from the field. He had 4 assists. Like, I think he's looked. It's been kind of a mixed bag in the time that he's returned from the knee injury. I'm just alarmed that they did a whole press release for his knee injury. And I think there's a balance between trying to figure out, you want him to be as healthy as possible. And so you want to rest him some games before the playoff starts, but you also want him to be playing in rhythm. And so I don't know. I feel like he's been playing decently, but I also don't think there's been a lot of responsibility placed on Jaylen Brown since his return from this knee injury. And one of the things that made him so dominant last year was just his physical ability to impact the game on the defensive end. And so if he's not fully there 100%, I probably lean towards just resting him and making sure that he's as good as possible to get to maybe a second round series against the Knicks, or so he's the guy guarding Donovan Mitchell in an Eastern Conference Finals. And so at this point, I think you lean towards resting him just because he hasn't looked great. It's not like and he hasn't had like super productive games, but that is a concern if you just want him to be fully healthy heading into the playoffs.
Do you think that Baylor Shireman is up to the task of being the Celtics' number 2 option if we take Jaylen Brown off the court? I see Jay's back. I wanted to say thank you guys so much. Also, Jay, I would love to hear more Baylor Shireman takes from you. The new version of Baylor Shireman, not the old one. I know he's a completely different player. I love Baylor Shireman. Go Baylor Shireman, greatest rookie of all time. I'll see you guys.
Greatest rookie of all time.
Better
than Bill Russell.
Unbelievable. No, greatest, better than Bill Russell. So incredible. No, I love your guys' podcast. I'll be here throughout the week. Looking forward to the stretch run. And Jay, one other thing. This was the other thing. I am saying that there's a chance that Cleveland screws up and loses the number 1 seed. Thanks, guys.
Take care, Josh. I don't think there's much of a chance of that, honestly. It would mean them continuing to lose and lose and lose.
If they lost today's game against the Clippers, which they're up 5 with 23 seconds left. There's a much bigger lead. It would be a 3.5 game difference, but I don't think the Cavs are going to mess that up. I am curious about your impressions of Jaylen Brown, especially in the last 2 games where you've seen him in person, because just on TV, it has not looked like he is moving as well and as fluidly as we kind of used to seeing Jaylen Brown. And so from being in Phoenix, being in San Antonio, I'm curious what his game has looked like to you in person.
First of all, I'm sorry I had to leave the podcast briefly, but my son is projectile vomiting back home in Boston.
Oh,
and my wife called me like 3 times in a row, and I figured that it was either he was walking for the first time and she wanted me to see him, or something bad had happened. So it was something bad happened, unfortunately. He'll be okay. But had to run and talk to the fam real quick. Back to Jaylen Brown. Yeah, he's not right. It's very clear he's not right. He's still on a minutes restriction. He did not play at the end of the San Antonio game. They went big. I assume because he ran into the end of his minutes restriction. The thing that kind of is scary for the Celtics is that he said he's going to have to manage it. It's something that he hasn't been able to really like just get out of. And there were several times in the San Antonio game when he was just ginger getting up, when he was just laying on the ground after either banging his knee or hurting his knee and, looking very hurt, very painful. When he checked back in after the third quarter, I watched him and he did something new, which he doesn't really do, which is he was doing like lunges on the court to try to like basically activate the knee. And then he jumped up and down on one leg a few times. And you can just tell, like, those aren't things you do if you're feeling great, if you're feeling normal. And to my knowledge, I don't think that's ever been part of his routine before. So he's trying to figure things out. He's trying to learn how to play through this. And it's just going to be something that's like the most concerning part of the Celtics right now. Obviously, they're playing great basketball. They're rolling as they head toward the playoffs. But you're going to need Jaylen Brown to play more minutes. You're going to need Jaylen Brown to get through a gauntlet of 20-something playoff games, probably 20-something. Last year wasn't quite 20-something, but I don't think last year is going to happen again. If you get to the finals, it's going to be a longer, more strenuous playoff run, and he's going to need to figure out this knee issue and just kind of learn ways to manage it, because I get the sense that he's not going to be 100% for a while now.
Yeah, I think it was just interesting that he wasn't on the injury report at all. So it's not like there was it felt like there's a risk of him missing the game, but they do have a minutes restriction still. And with that strategy, it feels like they are just trying to let him figure out how to play while managing the pain. Because to me, being more cautious would be like, oh, you let him sit out a few games. But if it's a situation where sitting out is not really going to solve the situation, where it's like no matter what, he's going to be in some pain. So that he's just kind of trying to figure out. That is kind of scary heading into the playoffs, and it's a big question mark. But it's just I would imagine he sits like one of the back-to-backs in the final week of the season. But it's just about trying to ramp him up because they're going to need they're built on this expectation that Jaylen Brown plays 35 plus minutes in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure he was average like over 40 in the majority of the playoff run last year. And so if it's just about pain management, I think that is concerning just because he, like I was saying to Josh, like him being the defensive, not anchor, but like intensity guy, the point of attack defender, especially against Luka Doncic last year in the playoffs, but against the opposing player's best team, I thought was a real strength of the Celtics. And if he's just not able to bring that physical intensity, it just changes kind of what the Celtics can do on defense.
Especially if you get to the Eastern Conference Finals and you need to play against Donovan Mitchell. What happens if you need to play Donovan Mitchell? Jaylen Brown is probably your best matchup for a guy like that. Jaylen Brown is probably your best matchup for somebody like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Jrue Holiday is a fantastic defender. Derek White is a fantastic defender. Jaylen Brown, though, is the one who picks those types of guys up full court, gives them hell, plays at a higher level longer than most of those guys can. He wore down Luka Doncic last year in the finals. And yeah, so he needs to be able to carry a super heavy load. And he's played pretty well the last couple of games. It's not like this has, torpedoed his entire impact. He had a great flurry against the Suns. I believe he shot 7 for 15 in that game. Came back, shot 6 for 9 against San Antonio. He made some great spray out passes in both games. So he's been able to still make an impact. But the physical demand of the role the Celtics had him play last year and the role that they'll likely need him to play again this year, deep in the playoffs especially, that takes a lot. That's grueling. And if your knees aren't right, then it's going to be really tough to both guard one of the toughest assignments and pick up full court and set the tone for the Celtics and also score efficiently like Jaylen Brown did throughout the playoff run last year.
I think about the playoffs. It's just like so much attention is given to Jason Tatum, and it's like up to the other guys. And like one of the biggest moments in the whole finals run, it's Game 3 against Dallas. Like Dallas is making this furious comeback, and Jaylen Brown hits that just like pull up mid range to kind of end the run and seal the game there. And just like he needs to be able to play serious minutes to be that. Because there's times in the playoffs where it's like your half court offense, and I think one of the things that Jaylen Brown was really great in the playoffs last year is just getting a bucket. It feels like it's much more important in the playoffs, and he was definitely one of the get a bucket guys. Just create a shot on your own, knock down a mid range, and you can just imagine if the knee's hurting, he's not kind of able to do it to the same ability. You need someone like Derek White to step up. You need kind of other options there. And so I think it's definitely something to monitor in these final 2 weeks of the season is, one, does his minutes restriction go up? Is he able to get to 35, maybe 35 plus minutes a game? Maybe you don't want any of the plus starters like really playing that much, but it's certainly you want to be comfortable with Jaylen Brown playing more. I guess his minutes restriction is 30 because that's what he played last night. But you want like no restriction at all, Jaylen Brown, to finish out the season.
Yeah, and it seems like they might be getting to that point. His last 4 games, he's played 24 minutes, 26 minutes, 28 minutes, 30 minutes. So going up in increments of 2 minutes, it's entirely possible we see him play 32 against the Grizzlies on Monday. Though, Joe Mazzulla would never be forthcoming about a minutes restriction. The only reason we know for certain that Jaylen Brown is on one is that he revealed it himself. But yeah, so I do believe this is part of the plan to kind of ramp him back up. But there's nothing that can simulate the incredible load that he carries for the Celtics in the playoffs, or that he carried for the Celtics in the playoffs last season. It's so hard to simulate playing 41, 42 minutes of high-intensity basketball while picking up full court. Like, to do that, he was in insane shape, absolutely insane shape, and just really was able to push himself harder than these other guys could go. And that's one of his great strengths. And if that's diminished because of the knee issues, then that's a big deal for the Celtics.
If only there was a way to kind of make some money off of this this pattern you're showing in the minutes restriction. If only there was a way to bet higher on the Jaylen Brown minutes. It's not a possibility today, but it might be with our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It's really easy to use. You just create a lineup. Again, you just pick more or less on a few player stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. You use Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard for quick and easy deposits in your account. And today, you can deposit. You download the app, use promo code CLNS, and you get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, use promo code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Now, Jay, we were talking about like 2 weeks ago about the thing we wanted to see from the Celtics. And I think the thing you mentioned was just the starting lineup coming together and getting some like good minutes together. We got that last night. Obviously, Al Horford didn't play, so it wasn't like the full rotation, but it was the starting 5. And I'm just curious how you thought they looked and have looked kind of recently, although they haven't. Is this the first time they've been all of them together on this 5-game trip? Was we got the 5 starters?
I believe, yeah. And it's funny because they started out great. I believe it was 27-19 when the first sub came in. Kristaps was being pretty dominant inside, outside, blocking shots, impacting shots, put back dunk. Jrue Holiday was hot, hit shots early. Jason Tatum had a cutting layup from, I think it was Porzingis, just a great pass from him. Oh, never mind. It was a Porzingis back screen that freed him open. Jaylen got into the middle, found Tatum, who found Derek White for wide open 3. It was like the ball was moving, the defense was sharp, everything looked great. At the end of the day, they were a -4 because they came out in the third quarter and just did not play good basketball for a few minutes. And Kristaps got in foul trouble. Jaylen ran into his minutes restriction, and they barely played again. And so it went from being like, oh yeah, those guys are actually dominant when they're together. Like it's a good thing, no matter what the stats show. To by the end of the night, it was like it barely moved the stats for the entire season. Probably moved them even in a negative fashion. It is weird that they still haven't found a rhythm with that group. It is weird that they've been outscored for the season with that group. It is weird that they haven't started to surge yet. But I think you see glimpses of it all coming together, and I think, you know, when the playoffs arrive and they're locked in and not going to come out in the third quarter and just kind of not have the highest intensity, I think, then you're hopeful that they'll be able to just find that magic again. But the magic hasn't really been there most of the season. And it's not super concerning because there have been so many different factors into that. Like Porzingis' return, he wasn't right. And then Derek White had a weird slump that
he lost his joy.
That's not reality. He just couldn't hit a shot for a month and a half, whatever it was. A lot of those minutes with the starters came in that stretch. They were trying to reacclimate to Porzingis. It threw off everybody. None of that will matter in the time the playoffs come around, but you do want to see like at least a little stretch where they're right and kicking everybody's ass. And it looked like it was going to be the San Antonio game, and then like I said, things just kind of fell apart. Part of it was Porzingis' foul trouble. Part of it was just a lack of sharpness to start the third. But the good news is they have Luke Kornet, who kicked ass.
He rocked. He absolutely rocked. And we have another legend joining the pod who reminds us that the all 5 starters did play together in Sacramento. And so we have Gambling Grant joining the pod. Grant, how you doing?
What's good, guys? It's been a great weekend so far of basketball.
What's happening, Grant?
Are you still in the lead of the Still Poddable bracket competition?
You best believe it. And
I'm coming for that ass. So I'm coming for that ass, Grant. We have enough different picks. I could surge ahead of you.
There is, and that's what I'm kind of worried about with Auburn. They're beating Michigan State right now, so that's looking good. But I'm looking forward to some free merch.
You guys both have Duke. Grant's in the money. It really comes down to
he has Florida over Auburn, and I have Auburn over Florida. And that's
so it really comes down to that one game, Florida versus Auburn.
I think that would send me back into the lead. I looked at everybody's yesterday, and I'm the only one with an Auburn Duke final and Duke winning among the guys at least that are in the mix right now. So I'm coming for that ass, Grant.
It's gonna be an exciting finish. I'm looking forward to hopefully some free merch, and I'm excited.
What happens if I win? Do I get myself merch? Do I get the second place finisher merch? Like, how should I handle that? I feel like I should just get myself merch.
If anything, you can shit on Jam for saying he's been in the lead since birth. And then
I had a great opening weekend.
Seems a long way away now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost a week ago, I would say.
That Florida game yesterday was crazy.
That was nuts.
It was a lot of basketball yesterday, and it's just been like the best time of year. I barely tuned into the Celtics game because watching the Spurs just without Wemby and De'Aaron Fox, it didn't get me as excited as Florida, Texas Tech. But we were watching both, and it's good to see all 5 stars back out there.
Although, as Grant pointed out in the chat, all 5 starters played in Sacramento.
That game doesn't count because Tatum hurt his ankle, and so it doesn't even feel like it. Although that didn't happen until later in the game. The thing I'm trying to figure out is like the Celtics have won 8 in a row, albeit against some not great opponents. They beat the Kings, they beat the Trailblazers, they beat the shitty Suns, they beat the Spurs without their main 2 guys. But they're peaking at the right time. Like if you look at like Kirk Goldsberry does like the last 20 games and you look at offensive rating, defensive rating, they're in the top quadrant. They're playing really well. That's what you want from your team as they're heading into the final stretch of the season. Obviously the Cavs, how much do you take from them not playing their best basketball? Have they just been cruising and it's kind of weird, like teams that stack up wins. And I think this was, I heard Kirk Goldsberry say this on a recent Ringer podcast, is like, you get the same amount of credit for wins you stack up in October and November. And so the teams that like kind of run out to huge win totals, as the Cavs did then, obviously have a better record. But the Celtics have been playing better basketball as of late. But like, how much do you take from them beating these bad teams? Like Jay, you've seen these games. It's like they're not. When's the last close, like meaningful game the Celtics have played in? I feel like it was like the Thunder game, and that's the last game that they lost. And so, how much can we tell if the Celtics are really peaking right now, or are they just taking advantage of bad competition?
So I think it's both. That at the time of that Thunder game, it was very clear there would not be another game after that, pretty much, that had any meaning the rest of the season. That was the last like big mega game, and the schedule really cleared up from then. To me, what what really drove the Celtics last season was a consistency that it didn't matter who they were playing. It didn't matter whether they were at home or on the road. It didn't matter anything. Like they just were sharp. They brought it, and they played great basketball, consistent basketball all the time. That went missing for a stretch this year. They started losing at home. They started like just having consistent struggles. They rarely ever lost 2 games in a row, but they would lose one, win one, lose one, win one. It was just a very inconsistent stretch. So for them to be consistent again, it doesn't matter to me that they're playing poor opponents that they should be beating. It's more so the brand of basketball that they're playing. They're playing smart basketball. They're playing complete basketball. Jason Tatum has been fantastic. Jrue Holiday is coming to life. Kristaps Porzingis has just been really great since returning from his weird, mysterious illness. And now you've got like even weird things like Baylor Shireman emerging as a legitimate option. Might not impact them in the playoffs because you probably won't go that deep into the rotation. But finding Baylor Shireman this deep into his rookie season and him, making something of himself, that's a great development for them is long term if he continues on this trajectory. And so I think this last month or so of really complete basketball for the Celtics, even though they're playing bad teams, they're gearing up, they're sharpening up, and they're starting to play like themselves again on a consistent basis, which is a great sign. Not that they needed any confidence, but
it doesn't hurt to be winning all these games to win.
It's nice to like be able to puff out your chest a little bit and remind yourself that you're the big bad Celtics. And I don't think there was any lack of belief in the Celtics locker room when they were losing all those games, and Cleveland and Oklahoma City were winning all those games. But I do think that for them, it's good to see a stretch like this where everything's starting to click again and they're starting to figure it out.
If you want to see those big bad Celtics before the playoff run and maybe see them stomp the Miami Heat, which is always a fun time, or you might want to see Marcus Smart return to the Garden, Wizards coming to play the Celtics on April 6th, or you just want to go catch a baseball game. Red Sox are back in. I would download the Game Time app today. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff. The fluff that you have when you're trying to buy a ticket. Game Time Picks takes it away, and it shows you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. So today, just go download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off first purchase. You don't have to go to a sports game. You can go to a concert. You can go to the theater. You can see comedy shows. I know Jay's probably in Memphis tonight going to see some legitimate theater, and he's going to use the Game Time app using promo code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Now, Jay, you brought up this guy earlier. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I had to bring in Gambling Grant here. And Grant, I'm gonna come to you after I come to Jay. What the hell has gotten into Luke Kornet? Like he's he had a double-double last night. After 3 years of me pleading for this man to have a double-double, he casually throws in 14 and 11 and 4 assists. It's gotten to the point where I might be on the B-Rob train where it's like the double big lineups have been, I feel like, the best for the Celtics. And I obviously know the starting lineup, single big, being able to play 5 out is dynamic. But I kind of need to see Luke Kornet get some burn in the playoffs. Like he's playing so well that it's like you're obviously going to play Kristaps. You're obviously going to play Al Horford for he's your 6th man in terms of maybe minutes right now. You got to find some room for Cornet at this point, just because how good he's been playing and how much of an energy guy he is off the bench, especially on the offensive glass, Jay. Like, I didn't see this coming from Cornet, but am I doing the classic Jam Packard overreacting to one performance? Absolutely. But
this is not one performance. This is a season filled with performances.
So I'm not
night
doing
after night.
Jam
Luke
Packard.
Kornet has played impactful basketball. Night after night, he has helped the Celtics win. And I don't think you're overreacting. The thing where it gets not dicey, but where it will become a decision. Like, I don't think the first round is going to be like a big like strategy series. Like,
you don't have a strategy up for the Josh Giddey and the Chicago Bulls?
No. It could be Orlando, could be Atlanta. Then you might have to strategy up a little bit more. But I think you play Luke Kornet. It's been one of your better looks all season, the double bigs, and you limit the minutes on some of the other guys. You keep the rotation at 9, whatever, 8, 9. Go pretty deep into the bench. You win anyway. Where it gets dicey is if deep in the playoffs you're playing a team that can really test you, and where you can't be comfortable with 2 7-footers on the court, and you've got either Oklahoma City with all these guys coming downhill at you, and you got to figure that out, or
a smaller Cavs lineup.
Cleveland goes smaller and they've got shooting everywhere and they cut so quickly and they're always moving, and then maybe it's tough to keep Luke Kornet on the court next to a big man. But for now, I mean, he's been fantastic. He's been great. The Celtics have played consistently some of their best basketball all season with Luke Kornet on the court. So it's no fluke. It's no overreaction to one game. I just think deeper in the playoffs, it gets tougher and tougher to play big men, and especially to play big men together because of the level of skill and the combination of size and skill that other teams are able to put on the court against you.
Yeah, it just feels like with 2 bigs in the playoffs, it just is like, I know Kristaps is dangerous from 3, but it's basically 2 guys you can basically play off of, and it just creates with so much like attention. Jason Tatum, it feels like to maximize Jason Tatum, you want to have a pure kind of 5-out, just so he has maximum space to be driving and can spray it out. And I feel like you can bring Luke Kornet in for some moments, but I don't know. He's just been like so. Him on the short roll, his passing on the short roll has just been so impressive to me this season. I think I saw a graphic recently where it's like his percentage of shots taken at the 3 or inside the paint has drastically changed throughout his career, and his true shooting percentage has gone up in the inverse. And so I just gotta give credit to Luke Kornet where I can. Grant, what is your thoughts on Luke?
The Luke Kornet and Jason pick and roll has also been one of the more effective just like plays that the Celtics have run the past, 2 months. They're just I forget the efficiency numbers, but it's been really it's really efficient. That's all I have to say. And it's nice to see Luke being able to just like know where the extra pass should go, especially because I feel like sometimes he's not aggressive enough in big game scenarios. Like in the Cavs game, I thought he could have been a little bit more aggressive, but he was looking to pass more. But I think Luke Kornet's really like he's comfortable now. He's doing celebrations every time he makes a dunk, or
is he getting a little bit too cocky? Are people celebrating Luke Kornet's off the court quirkiness a little bit too much? Probably not, but it's borderline.
Yeah. He was really interesting talking about like how his game shifted, because I feel like he's a very practical guy. He's a very analytical minded guy. When he used to do the Cornet contest, he had like whatever the numbers were, like he knew that it was a good thing for the Celtics that he, like when he contested, he knew that the accuracy of the shots were going down, even though he was jumping from 20 feet away or whatever it was. And he basically said, like, I've always wanted to be in the right position. He's like, I just had to start playing with more physicality. And basically, like, it was a choice for him to go from like kind of not being on his heels, but prioritizing some other stuff to just being like, I need to go seek out somebody and create contact first. And obviously he still is usually in the right spot. He knows how to play off Jason Tatum. He does a great job of all that stuff. He's become like Packard said, a great passer on the roll. and somebody who can just continue facilitating offense, keep everything flowing, all that. But also, he's an ass kicker down low. Like he really overpowers people. He gets a lot of offensive rebounds. He draws a lot of fouls on the offensive glass. And he's gone from he's really turned himself into a force in that way. And it really was funny to just hear him talk they just impressed upon me the need for more physicality. And it was
just got to give up my body. I'm a left guard. I'm an offensive lineman out there. I did like that, where it's just I'm just got to be an ass kicker. And it's one thing to say that, but another thing to just be able to go out and do it has been mighty impressive from Luke Kornet here down the stretch. That's pretty much all we got. Unless, Jay, you have any other hot takes from the road? Anything Joe Mazzulla has said in your time with him? If not, we can wrap this up and look forward to more Boston Celtics basketball. They look to go 6-0 on it's wild for the potential to go 6-0 on a 6-game West Coast swing. I feel like the Celtics. This is my Celtics green goggles. So what do they call it? A green teamer? I'm being a green teamer right now. Celtics not getting enough credit for winning 8 in a row. That's just not something I've heard in the national media, but they do have a chance to go 6-0 on the road trip. See how the Grizzlies respond after they fired their head coach, which is kind of a wild move when they're above 500 and I think 4th place in the West right now. But Jay will be there in Memphis. We will be here for you every single day, as we are Monday through Friday, with more podcasts. So if you enjoy the show, go to patreon.com/Still Poddable. Subscribe today. Get in before the playoff run. It's going to be a really fun time to be a Celtics fan, as it was last year. We had a lot of fun doing this before and after games. Grant is a legend. You heard from Josh B earlier in the podcast as well. Everyone loves hanging out in the Still Poddable chat. So we really appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back tomorrow with more Still Poddable.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable. The Boston Celtics Still Poddable, Still Poddable. Oh, yeah.
Slow down from eating and drinking and all that wild stuff.